it demands great work. It demands coming to terms with selfishness. It demands reorienting one's values and attitudes. It demands that we face things as they are without the illusion of escapes or buffers. Mm-hmm. That only by seeing things as they are and dealing with them as they arrive and arise can any significant change be made in ourselves and therefore in society in which we live.
Sounds like a long and slow process.
It's the only game in town.
What do you think is the best tool?
Oh, without question, service.
Service.
Love and service to others. Keeping the compassionate mind and cleansing oneself of all of the many delusions which hide us from our own true self, mm-hmm. which is exactly who Meher Baba asserts that he is. Mm-hmm. That he's the one who we really are, and that we have to pare away that which is not him.
I see. So it's almost a question of molting so that we can get new wings to fly, as it were.
What it is that essentially drugs reinforce the illusion that we're separate. And in reality, as he so eloquently expresses in his silence, we're really one. It's just that we think we're separate, and unfortunately drugs, as I said, reinforce that illusion of separateness.
I see.
And therefore of self-interest.
Meher Baba is also known as the Awakener, and Robert was telling me earlier today about drugs almost seeming to be a dream within a dream. If Meher Baba is the Awakener to awaken us to the one reality which is God, to telling us that what we need to do is to find our true selves, which is God, and merge with that oneness, then drugs would seem to be almost 2 generations separated from that. Would you say?
Very much so. I think that you mentioned before the pervasiveness of drugs in our society, not just here, in Europe as well, and in many other cultures. It's a sign of people's intense dissatisfaction with the way things are, with our continual emphasis on accumulating more goods and the dream of material happiness, which is empty. It doesn't mean that it's not worth striving for, it just means that perspective has to be very present in one's decisions, and simply to choose that which is not conducive to one's own long-range happiness is indeed the height of foolishness.
Sounds to me like you're saying thinking of other people rather than thinking of yourself would be a great benefit on this path.
If we all did it, all the problems would be solved.
Even at the cost of our own suffering.
Especially that.
I see. What was it like meeting Meher Baba? You traveled all the way from Boston to India, and much of that trip was overland, wasn't it?
Except for the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes. I don't think you walked on water.
No. For me, that time was an intense process of self-searching and self-discovery. It was a time when I was being forced to come to terms with my own experimentation, and the journey to India was, as Walt Whitman said, it's a journey to more than India. It seemed very clear to me that Meher Baba knew exactly what he spoke of, and that his assertion that he was the one whom all religions promise and whom everyone awaits was abundantly clear, at least enough so that I had to go find out for myself. Mm-hmm. And in that long overland journey to India, it made me come to terms with much in myself that distanced myself from him, particularly drugs. And midway there, I decided that it was time to finally put them to rest. When I came to India and met Meher Baba, which is certainly the most extraordinary experience of my life, he reinforced that by stating in no uncertain terms that drugs were harmful, and they were delusion within illusion, and not to take them.
Mm-hmm. And he sent you back to this country.
Pardon?
He sent you back to this country, didn't he, to work against drugs?
he said to bring his message about drugs and his message of love and truth to others. I think that what he was doing in many ways was helping me overcome my own past and the consequences of it, but primarily to begin that service which I alluded to in helping others in any way possible. It was much broader and simpler than I had anticipated. There was no haranguing people on a soapbox in Haight-Ashbury. It was a little more subtle than that, as indeed Meher Baba is much more subtle than that. And it was an education process. It was talking on TV shows, on radio shows. We wrote letters to every college newspaper in the United States. There was a great deal of working with small groups, with churches, and simply sharing what Meher Baba has so eloquently expressed in the most human and humane way possible, and doing it from the ground of our own experience. It wasn't something outside of ourselves from which we spoke. It was very much germane to the whole issue of who am I, what am I doing here, and how can I find some measure of happiness in the process.
I see.